Welcome. Today is intro day. I've been getting requests regarding making intros, creating dynamics in intros, making the drops fit with your intro is really important. And that's what we're going to go over. We're going to check out 3 of my tracks and the intros, and I'll show you how to make things cohesive, blend together. We'll go over the song arrangement, composition techniques and secrets, the music theory needed, the knowledge needed so that you can do this easily and do it every time, because there is a trick to it. Let's go ahead and check out this song first. Hostage Tape about to release soon.
Dripment.
This is the first example. This is more like riddim. This has a dark intro, nice build up, a big fake out, and then we get into the drop. The other examples will be like a melodic example and then like a tear out example where it's lots of heavy guitars for the intro and transitioning into something tear out. But every genre and every song is going to be different. With this intro, it's very simple. We have a war horn, hi-hat, a shaker loop, and an alarm loop. The most important thing is our drop, because that's going to be the climax of this song, and it's going to also hold the most important notes. So when we're making this, I'm using the same note for my sub and my basses, and that's going to be my root note. The music theory in this is critical. It's going to be everything. So you pick a key or you pick a scale. So D minor, for example, is my scale. We have these 7 notes to use. The most important note is this root note. This is home. So in this scale, it would be D. We're using D right here. And if I want my intro to blend with my drop, I have to make sure that everything in my intro is also playing D or playing the D minor scale as well. Every instrument is going to be different. So the most important instruments usually are going to be labeled with a key, labeled with a note. So this sample right here, for example, one of the main samples in the intro, this war horn. This is big. It covers all the frequency spectrum, lows, mids, highs. This is already doing a lot. And all we have to do is change it from C to D. So we transpose it up 2. If you look here, C is going to be number 7. And then we go up 2 steps in the piano to get to +2. And we're just simply moving it to D. You'll be transposing and pitching all of your sounds to the correct note so that it can match your drop. Very important. So now, this is in D, but it used to sound like this. So me staying in the scale and the key the whole time is going to be the main way we get this to work. These shakers, we don't have to really worry as much about it being perfectly in tune. But like these alarm loops, something more tonal. So if this is in D sharp, we pitched it to -12, and then you would pitch it up once more so that you can actually get to D sharp. So originally, you would just go down 1 to get to D. Now we're going an octave and then down 1 again. Oh, actually, we're going to -13. And then you can easily tune your alarm. Now, obviously, you can create dissonance and not use the right keys and purposely create tension that way. They do it in horror all the time, but you have to just be careful and maybe sprinkle in a couple wrong notes rather than do a lot of wrong notes. That's an advanced thing. You want to do that once you really master the theory of everything. But for now, just stay in harmony, stay in scale, in key to make things easy. The drums, like I mentioned, like the shakers and the hi-hats and these war drums, I'm not really paying attention to keeping those perfectly in tune. It is a good habit to be able to tune your drums, but at the same time, we can play it if it sounds good. You can also try to transpose it and see if any of those pitches sound better as well, which is what I do. Sometimes I'll just randomly pitch toms, or I'll try to pitch them properly. Really just finding the feeling. Atmospheres like this, ambiance, and this is going to be like almost noise, so you can pitch it if it says a key. If not, you can just try to see if it fits in. Cut the lows so it can blend with everything. So once this is going to start, we're really paying attention to like the timing here. So basically we're making a loop, a 4-bar loop at the intro, and we're repeating this 4-bar loop, the war horn and the alarm. We are adding movement using the shaker. Usually it's just that, something big, powerful. You can make that from scratch with multiple layers, or you can just find a nice, easy cashmere war horn. Now we're adding some alarm, some more electronic sounds, and then adding the movement with the shaker so that we can keep it fast-paced in the intro. If you, for example, used a shaker loop that was halftime, then we could run into the issue of the intro being halftime and being a lot less energy. Sometimes this is a creative choice you want to make. Other times you want to keep it fast-paced. You kind of want the control and the option to do whatever you want. You want to test both versions and see what feels best on your song. For dance music, I just feel like the highest energy is always good. Just keep something on the quarter note. And then once we get to the build section, so you see we looped this, and there's 4 war horns. And then on the 4th war horn, we kind of start to build it up. We glue the intro with the build up using this war horn. So all the elements that were previously playing in the intro now play in this build up, and that's a way that we can glue things together. There's many different ways. You can go on a completely different journey with new sounds, or you can help glue everything together using the previous sounds and adding new. So the war horn keeps playing. I'm going to set that up right there. And then we introduce a big sub. Remember, this at C, so we're going to be pitching it to D, what we're using, regular D. If you go to the sub drop, it says -10. That means we were at the C, and then we went -12 to get to the octave, which is C, -12, right? C at a lower octave, and then we go up 2 to get to D, because we were at C. So we go 1 step up to the black, 1 step down to D, and then boom, we pitched our sub. So we're going to be pitching important elements like this and tuning them correctly. And these D notes are just going to run up all the way to the build up. I'm sorry, to the drop. And then once we hit the drop, we keep playing the D scale, which is gluing the build up and the drop together. Remember, the D note is our root note in D minor scale. It's the most important. It's home. And we want to resolve back home. So like in your build up, you can of course play other notes, but once we get back to the drop, we want to be hitting that root note. We want to be going back to the original. I'll show you how I did that soon. We have different alarms going on during the fake out. And we have one alarm that's tuned properly. So that one's at D sharp originally, and I pitched it up 1 to get to E, which is the second in our scale. It's also the diminished note in our scale, so it creates a little bit more darkness, more tension. This one is just playing. You can run these through Key Finder to see what note is playing. This isn't 100% correct, but we can use this as a good guide. It's saying it's G, the note. And if we're playing the G note, that's the 4th in our scale. So that's a note that we can use if that's correct. It sounds good to me, so that's why I left it. So that's the fake out. Remember, we have the sub going. We have a big impact that's kind of setting it off. So we're going to be using a lot of different effects and impacts so that we can blend things together. So let's go before the build. So remember, when the build starts, this is an important section. So I'm going to be having a vocal fill happen right before this to kind of set it off and let people know the build is about to start happening. We have a kick build that's filtering, pitching. We also have short risers with cool electronic effects to it. I'm just throwing these in at random, just seeing if they feel and sound good. I start turning them down and EQ them if needed. This is a white noise build. And then we even have this drone, which is set D sharp. So I pitched it down to D, to our root note, adding some ominous darkness during the build up. And then of course I have the vocal build up with it. So I'm repeating his last syllable. Tape. Then I just repeat it on beat, 1, 2, on the every beat, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then speed it up. Of course, we want to be doing pitch automations during these sections. So right before the pre-drop, we have it build up in pitch about 2 semitones. We also have little risers and all of that combined. Remember, I'm taking out this 1 bar section for the pre-drop to add even more energy and suspense, and it really helps the transition from build up to drop. You could do 1 bar, you could do half a bar right at the 0.3, but you should have a pre-drop to make a dynamic shift from loud back to like quiet. Then we go back to the crazy fake out, building more energy, and then boom, we release all the energy right at the drop. So let's feel that. Now, obviously, during the fake out, we're going to have a bass playing, but we do not have the drums playing. We only have 1 kick to just set it off. And this is a bass faking everything out. You know, quarter note is usually a good rhythm that we want. This is on quarter note. This is the shape. Kind of like preparing everyone. And remember, we have those alarms and those sirens. Kind of be like, yo, it's going down. We cut out another pre-drop section, but this time it's half a bar. We have the riser. And then we have the spin back, just like a cashmere vinyl stop. So remember, we're playing the root note the whole time. We've been playing the same note, and we transition to the drop, and we do something special here. We do a call and response. So the call is this, which is going to be playing not the root note, but it's going to be playing these notes, the 3rd and the 2nd for the call. So we like start up high in pitch and then boom, right on the first snare is the response. And that's where we just run the root note, run home, just keep it home. And then these fills, so like this says G minor, we pitch it down, put it in D. And we have the call, the response, and the fill within the 4-bar section, really adding a lot of movement, a lot of energy. And that's going to, remember that sub is going to be layered with all these basses. It says F sharp, but you know what we're doing. We're pitching it to D. This one's F. We're leaving it on F. F is the third in our scale. So then now we're combining the first and the third, and then we add like texture layers. Dynamics, volume is important. The dynamics is like you don't want it to be a straight line, right? If it's just a straight line, if it's just loud the whole time, then our ears, they get adjusted to the loudness and the energy, and just the value and the quality starts to diminish over time. But if you keep it quiet at the beginning and you slowly increase in volume until the drop, and the drop is the loudest, then it's going to add a lot more energy. So before we move on to the next one, we're going to look at the volume and how loud everything is. An intro, build up, drop. I do have some like general guidelines. I like to stay in the single digits. If we're like -15 or -12, that's really quiet about podcast vocal volume. So we want to make sure that our track is loud enough so people can play it out and DJ it. It's important. It's also loud too for the streaming services. So we're mixing and mastering as we go. So we're looking at the lefts here. It's going from like -7 when it's super loud, back to -11, back up to -6, then back down to -11. So getting loud and quiet in the intro, which is good dynamics. Plus, I'm making sure it's not as loud as the drop, which is going to be around like -4, -3. So we're keeping it in the single digits and making sure that it's not louder than the drop. So the build-up was about -6 lefts. A little bit louder than the intro, and it's a constant -6 lefts. So we're keeping it. This fake out's coming in at -4.9, -5 lefts. And then boom, you see we get it a little bit louder in the drop. We're hitting -3.8 lefts. This is the climax, the loudest part of our song. And we're just making sure that we're going slowly up in volume. And then obviously if we break it down, we'll then slowly go back down, slowly go back up. And we're creating these waves and natural dynamics throughout the whole track as well. And of course, remember all those fills is creating dynamics too. All the little pauses and silences, so we can go back and forth between loud to quiet. This is a simple example. Very little elements, not too much going on. Drop comes in pretty soon. But we have some more complex examples. So we'll do the TEAROUT one first and then the melodic one third, because that one's a little bit more complex, has more layers. And it's a lot of music theory too, so a lot more tricks and really cool techniques. But we'll do Hail to the Fallen next. Great, so this project's a lot more complex, a lot of layers, but we're doing the same techniques, sticking to the theory, sticking in a key or a scale, and using different transitional song arrangement techniques. Let's hit it. Yes. Some tear out tings, you know what I'm saying? This one will release eventually soon. And the main thing is this guitar in the intro. If you notice in the intro, I mean, we are filtering it out. We're making it quieter right at the beginning and then throwing them into the loudness. Everything's always going by 4 bars. This is a 4-bar phrase. We're usually doing 4s and 8s. So after the 8 bars, we have it transition to full blast frequencies. But right before that big transition, we have this fill. So with this, we'll make it a little different. I'll be time stretching, changing different octaves. I'll be replacing samples. I'll be doing a lot of different things to make the sample unique and keep things going. So we're going to be doing a lot of variations that way. We also have the drums, and the drums start to come in right after the 8. In the intro too, we have some vocals. So I'm like kind of creating some darkness and a sense of energy with the vocals too. Let's check these. They're happening right before the next phrases. So after 4 bars, right before the 4 bars ends, we have this vocal. So I'm trying to create as much energy as possible with all these transitional techniques. Remember, I'm slowly getting quiet and then boom to loud. So I'm aware of the dynamics while I'm creating the intro. And when the intro starts, we have like all these impactful impacts. And I'll just go layer crazy and start turning them down and EQing out the lows to start blending them all together. It's just creating a big down sweep. Then of course I have just one of them rising back up so that we can transition to the next phrase. If you notice, like the tom, it like goes from loud and then boom, just a tom for the fill and then into the next phrase. Now remember, everything's going to be about the scale and the key. So we're going to look at this. We're in C. We're then going to look at the next guitars that start coming. These are some bass guitars right here. And you'll see they're also C. We're in C minor this time. So when we're going to be building the drop, which usually I'm doing first. I usually like build the drop first. And then I work backwards to build the build up and the intro. It's easier that way when you're starting as a beginner because you can create all the notes that you need to use and all the energy in the drop. And then working backwards is a lot easier to make the build up for that drop and then add an easy intro by using the music theory and the key and the scale that we've been talking about. We're going to look at the drop here and make sure that everything's in C, like our guns and our sub. So this is our sub. It says F sharp originally. We pitch it down -6. We're going to bring up C minor as well. So if we're at F sharp, which is right here, we take 1 step, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 steps down, which is -6 here, so that we can have this sub play the note C instead of F sharp. And we're going to be doing that with every bass as well. I was on D sharp, we go -3, D sharp, -3. And then if we add MIDI guns, you know we're going to be playing that C. These all together with the sub. So that's like the main motif. That's the main thing happening in the drop. And we just want to make sure that our intro blends with that. And we just do it by using the same note. There's also a call. You heard that bass? That's how the drop starts. So remember, resolving back home is important. So we have multiple instruments playing the note C on this. In the build-up, we have the guitar playing C, so we're feeling the C minor scale as it starts to build up. And then we add just lots of fast drums. We add a pitching vocal. And we start to add all these elements to increase the energy and the tension. Let's go ahead and check out the timing. So right after our 8-bar intro, we go into this. Still part of the intro. But this is where I introduce drums. It's just like a more energy section. You can just create different sections with your 4 bars or 8 bars and arrange it and compose it however you want. I chose to add this extra part in the intro. You technically don't need it. You could just start the song like this if you wanted. So it's really up to you as an artist to choose what you want to do and explore and experiment. My goal, though, is to make it quiet, dynamic. So I want people to feel stuff. You know, I don't want to just start it loud. I want to have them ease into it, and it'll create more emotion and impact. So it's kind of the goal there. Once again, 4-bar phrases. So in the 4 bars, we have this 6-string guitar loop. And then the drums and the hi-hats going with it. Quarter note rides and hats. Layered with multiple. Then you have your snares coming in on the 0.3s. And the double bass is going in. We layer multiple kicks. To try to beef up the kick as much as possible. Some of these are going to be EQ'd, some of the lows are going to be taken out. Some of them are not. They're just going to be stacked on top of each other. And we're going to be clipping it at the end with a G clip. So we do this section for quite a while. After the 8-bar intro, this is a 16-bar like drum section and guitar section. Just like starting the song, and then right after it, we get into the build. Now we have Asking Alexandria vocal in here. That's going to be playing, it's going to be screaming. And slowly pitching up. Things are now slowly pitching up, slowly getting faster, so we can increase energy. Add extra fills before things get faster. Like we talked about earlier, we need that pre-drop. We have the pre-drop starting at bar 31. Oh my God! Pre-drop is actually 2 bars this time. Oh my God! Right after those 2 bars, we have big bass. Setting it off, and you know already we're playing all C notes here. So we transition, build up to drop. And I start with the call. Big drum fill, and then we get into like a fake out. So just transition techniques. We don't want to just go straight into the drop. We're adding more energy, extra spice and finesse using like this little fake out thing here, but still call and response. It's going on throughout. So it's almost like multiple calls and responses here. Basses, drums, and then this one. Another bass. I'm going back and forth between the bass and the guns. And everything's just playing C note, you know, gluing everything together, cohesion. We start big, loud. We're going to look at exactly how loud we get in the meters. -14. And we slowly get loud to about -6. Actually, we're hitting -4 lefts in this section. Big and loud, and then headed to the build. So we get a little bit quieter, -8, -7, -6, leading up into the pre-drop and the fake out. Oh my God! So a little quieter than the actual drop. So by the time we hit the drop, we get hit with the most loudness. It's very impactful. So we're just slowly going up and down. Once again, dynamics, getting wavy. The build-up drums, usually I'm not tuning them. So like these are just the kicks that start building. We have the, let's see here, we have the sub drop. These will be tuned. These are in C. Anything tonal, like our subs, our basses, it's really important. Usually the vocals for sure should be tuned. I'm pretty sure these Asking Alexandria ones are in C minor. And then lots of risers, lots of sweeps, not really paying attention to the tune on these. Unless it sounds weird, then maybe I'll pitch it up one or maybe pitch it down one. Now that's a more intense, more heavy guitar song, gluing everything together, making it all a flow. And let's get into something more melodic, just so you can see how these look too. With these, we're sticking to a lot of root note, you know? C, 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 or the other one, D, 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 D. But when you're doing like more future bassy, more melodic, more rhythm that just has lots of pitch movements, you're going to be seeing different techniques come out play. All right, cool. So this is going to be more melodic, and then we lead into like a heavy bass drop. But we use a lot of different chords here. Sticking to the scale, we're using, let's see, D minor, and we're going to only be using those notes here. My CPO hanging on for its dear life right now. So this song, very melodic. We have lots of chords involved. We're going to be playing D minor. So if you put this in D minor, you'll see that as soon as we start the song, we start with harmony in the scale. We're going to be choosing the D minor chord for the first two. We switch the chord. Or just sticking in the scale, sticking to all the highlighted notes, creating a nice harmony in the intro. This harmony, all these notes are going to be gluing drop and the build-up and the intro together. When we look at the drop, you'll see We resolved back home, playing just the root note, all D. All D notes, we go to this sub during the response. More D notes. And then in this drop, we have melodic elements. We have strings playing. Now I resampled these, but when I created them, we were using the D minor scale. Then I just chop them up and have them go with the song.
You are no match for me.
This is a super good technique to glue everything together, and it sounds really good when you have melodic elements in your intro, and then you add some melodic elements intertwined with the drop.
Drip.
You are no match for me.
So I have the strings going with the basses, and then we switch to another phrase, and we start to do the strings less and have the other bass start to take the spotlight. So it works really well to just glue everything together. Everything sounds like it belongs here. You know, everything has its own little house. This is the family. This is the generational frequencies. Remember, music theory, sticking to the root note. You can add harmony and melody and all these chords in the beginning, but just resolve back home in the drop. Your buildup can be a mix of pitch rising, adding all the elements that you need, like drums, kicks, claps, snares, and then all your effects, like risers and sweeps and impacts, so that we can just do all these different transitions between our phrases. All the fills and pre-drops that I was showing you are really important. And then overall dynamics, you know, going from quiet to loud, keeping things full in the frequency spectrum, lows, mids, highs, and keeping things full in the stereo image, mono and stereo. These are the things you want to be aware of constantly when you're creating your tracks and creating your intros. Like I said earlier, if you start with your drop first and then work backwards to the build-up, then backwards again into the intro, it will teach you a lot. It's a lot easier that way, and I recommend doing that first until you have done that so many times, and then you can just start from the beginning and create it however you want, all based on energy and what the song is asking for. So many tricks, so many techniques. If you guys have any questions, leave them in the comments below. I'll be happy to answer them. And you can request any videos and I'll be making them in the future. Thank you for watching. Have a great day. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Peace out.
Drop it like it's
Dead scroll.